Good evening. My name is Billy Treadwell. So, I have over 50 felonies and have spent a combined total of over 10 years of my life behind bars between county jails and state correctional facilities. So, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to attempt to persuade you to believe that if I continue to do the things that I've done for the past 3 years to stay sober, that for the next 3 years, then I can avoid being arrested for the next 3 years. I'm going to try to persuade you of that by telling you a little bit about my history when it comes to incarceration and substance abuse. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some facts of our society in relation to these two things. And I'm going to give you some of my credentials and offer my insight as what could probably be considered to be an expert in this area. So to begin with, I started getting high and drinking when I was 13 years old. It wasn't very long before I started receiving legal consequences. I was arrested for the first time for a DUI at the age of 14. I did 48 hours in YDC at that point. For the next 25 years, through all the progression of my disease of addiction and alcoholism, I would say that not a single year went by when either I didn't spend incarcerated or get arrested at least once a year. And that's been my history for most of my life. So all the evidence would point to the fact that I cannot, and see, all the crimes that I was arrested for and incarcerated for, not merely just possession, but some were financial crimes and all. I can look back on my life and see that every time I was arrested, it in some way related to my alcoholism and my drug use. So based on that fact, I believe that if I continue to do the things I've done for the past 3 years, I'll have 3 years sober on October 24th, that I won't have to get arrested again ever. So some of those things that I've done, are I went to a sober living community. I got a sponsor. I worked the 12 steps. I believed people when they told me that there was another way for me, and that if it could work for them, people that I talked to whose lives had basically been a mirror image of my own when it comes to incarceration and drug use, that I never had to be arrested again. So I believed them, and I became willing, and I took the actions that they suggested that I take. I got a sponsor. I worked the 12 steps. I became an active member of my home group. I began to live my life based on principles like honesty and kindness and integrity. I learned how to behave with character and take those small actions in my life that were contrary to what I would have done, based upon the realization that my own thinking was my problem, and that everything that I thought I knew about how I should live my life was absolutely wrong, because all of my very best ideas had ended me up behind bars every time. So, a little bit of facts about drug use and alcohol use in incarceration. According to the Center for American Progress, every 25 seconds, someone is arrested for drug possession. I myself have had probably 5 possessions of controlled substance in my life, one being a minor in possession when I was only 14. I've had multiple possessions of methamphetamine, possessions of marijuana. And so every 25 seconds, someone gets arrested for that, and quite often that someone was me. Approximately 1/5 of the incarcerated population in the United States is serving time for drug offenses. And from my own experience, that's definitely the case. In the prison system, in state prison and county jails, easily 1/5 of the people I came in contact with were there because of drugs or drug-related charges. So, since I've gotten sober and I've started to work with other men and try to carry the message of hope and recovery to them, I have I've been given the opportunity to serve as the program director of the Hale Foundation. So, as a program director and as an active member of a 12-step group, I can see those things that people do. Those people that get lasting sobriety, and those actions that they take are the same ones that I continue to take. So having used those actions and been successful in recovery for the past 3 years, I believe and can assure you beyond a shadow of a doubt that if I continue to do those same things that have kept me from being incarcerated for the past 3 years, if I do them for the next 3 years, then I'll get the same result, and that'll be a life free of incarceration. So, in conclusion, I would just like to say that I think I've successfully given enough evidence for the audience to believe that that if I would continue to do the things that I've done for the past 3 years, that I will not have to return to an incarcerated state for at least the next 3 years. And I've attempted to do this by telling you about my history with drugs and incarceration and showing you that obviously the two were connected, by offering some statistics and facts from an outside source that shows that most incarcerations, or a high percentage of incarcerations, are due to drugs, and also by offering my own testimony as someone who sees how this plays out in our community and sees how people are able to successfully stay out from behind bars, and I've applied that to my own life. Thank you.